Well, hi there again, all you wonderful listeners. Definitely wonderful because you are listening, and that's really great for me. I really love talking, so it's nice to have someone to listen when I do the talking. So this is pretty cool. You know, great to be able to chat to you again today uh, on one of my favorite subjects, of course, and that's birds. And I just hope you're picking up on what I'm saying to you about some of the birds and things that you need to do to get out there and get birding. I hope you are spending more time out there and looking at the birds and listening to them because it really is a beautiful world out there. Today, I'm going to speak a different species, and I thought I'd just talk about these birds you see all over the place, and you'll see them on the golf courses in your garden, all around the streams if you go anywhere, and those are wagtails. Um, they frequently wag their tails and they kind of like flow low with kind of undulations when they do fly, and they most of them have a very sharp call. It's often given in flight. They're really beautiful, elegant looking birds. Yeah, long with their little long tails wagging away, with their little thin little legs, and you'll probably see them most of the time walking around in open fields and certain areas that I'm going to talk about now, with these beautiful long tails. In the world at the moment, there's actually 13 different species of these birds. And here in South Africa, or Southern Africa, we have six species. And namely, they're the pied wagtail, the Cape wagtail, the western yellow wagtail, the citrine or citron wagtail, grey wagtail, and the mountain wagtail. The citron or citrine wagtail, I have to say, is a very rare vagrant. They have been seen down near Port Elizabeth, but I myself haven't even seen this bird yet. Uh, They are all basically relatives of the pipits, which I haven't spoken about yet to you, or longclaws. But I don't want to chat about those just yet. But I've been really lucky to see five of these birds. So we are stay here in Pennington near Mdoni. We're very lucky to have three of these species around here. We've got the Cape wagtail, the pied, and the mountain wagtail. It used to be called the long-tailed wagtail. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to start with the most common of these, and that's the Cape wagtail. I've been very lucky because I have this wagtail and the pied wagtail. They're nesting actually on my house. Let's rather say on my house because I've got this creeper that grows around the one side of the house, and just below my kitchen on the other side of the window on the side, the wall facing us, there's for a number of years I've been watching this pair of wagtails, Cape wagtails, that are actually nesting there. They're actually quite a drab-looking bird, so they shouldn't actually be confused with any of the other wagtails. They have this basic, very grey, browny upper parts. It's got a smaller tail than some of them, with a similar coloured, how do we say, like a necklace around its neck or gorget next around its neck, slightly broader in the middle. So it's got this like ring around its neck with a bit broader in the middle. It's got a creamy white chest. Gets a little bit pinkish wash type of thing past its belly down to just down past its belly. The funny thing is the female and the male look exactly the same, and their tails, as I said, are a little bit shorter than most wagtails. But I've watched this pair. They've actually had quite a few young ones passing through there, and not just once a year, more than once a year, and three times a year. Um, but if not here, they would normally be found in open areas or near any type of water. And this little nest that we've got, well, all the nests are actually built by both sexes, and it's like a little cup, as I said, and they use quite a wide range of materials. If they can find something natural, even artificial, and then they normally line it with hair or rootlets, bit of wool, or feathers that they find. Um, they both tend to breed throughout the year, but mostly they breed between July and December here in South Africa. And both parents will share the incubation of the eggs. Um, and Normally it's about 2 weeks long, before they get hatched, and then they'll both get out there and feed the youngsters until they're basically fledged. This is the sound of it. I'm not definitely. I'm telling you now. I'm not going to try and even attempt whistling any of these wagtails. I'm going to play the wagtail, the Cape wagtail. Well, that is the Cape wagtail. I just hope that you sort of, once I finish talking about these birds, you'll go into one of the bird books or one of the other things that you have, instruments that you have to try and find these birds and have a look at these beautiful wagtails. You'll see them a lot. Most probably all of you know these things anyway, but I'd really like to just, I really wanted to actually talk about them. I'm going to move on now to the pied wagtail. It's a little bit bigger than the Cape, but it's definitely unique because they have these beautiful, bold black and white, pied colors, over its wings and its face, with both males and females. They have this lovely white folding in the wing. The females' sort of coloring is similar, as I've said just now, but they're a little bit more duller black. But it's still darker than the Cape wagtail, and the tails are definitely longer. And as I said, they have a little bit more. They are slightly bigger as well, and they have the same type of neck. All of the wagtails that I've known, most of them except one or two, have this gorgia, whatever you want to call it, necklace around its neck. These pied wagtails tend to keep the same partner during their breeding times, and of course they both help with the nest, as all do the wagtails that stay here and that sort of make nests in South Africa. They have a very deep cup nest. They're normally found over water, as they tend to hang out near water, rivers, and the like. Um, this is right. They eat insects, right? You'll see them hopping around and looking for something or they'll grab one in flight. But you'll see them washing their prey, sometimes like crickets. They'll wash them a few times before they eat them or take them back to the nest. And the other strange thing that I've noticed that these pied wagtails do, they kind of like bathe on their backs or on their sides, and they lift one of their wings up high, and with their bellies facing upwards towards the sun. If you get a rare occasion to see this, it's actually quite nice to watch. But these pied wagtails are extremely, extremely territorial, and they'll chase any other wagtail that they see. I've seen them chasing drongos, sanderlings on the beach, as many birds as they can away from their feeding areas. And so that's basically the pied wagtail. But I'm going to play you its song. It's a bit better. I'm just going to play it over here. See if you can hear that. Beautiful. You hear the water in the background as well. That's why we've got the sound. They go into a beautiful song sometimes as well. Right, so that's the pied wagtail. So what I meant to mention earlier, I call them the pied wagtail, but their proper name is the African pied wagtail. So if you're going to search for it, and sometimes you'll just put pied wagtail, it'll bring up a grey wagtail or something else. But it's the proper name is the African pied wagtail. So, excuse me, I'm getting a bit old and I kind of like forget some of the names. Right, the next one I want to talk about is my favorite. I really love these. Is the mountain wagtail. I've seen them myself down in the forest down here, very, very close to where I live. Really fantastic. They're elegant, long-tailed birds with beautiful grey back and pale underparts, and with a beautiful little black chest band. Its tail is longer than the others. Well, the last two that I've actually chatted about, actually quite a bit longer. And you'd normally, the strange thing about these things is, of all the wagtails, these ones are actually known to live longer than the rest. They live up to about 12 years, which is quite something for these wagtails. You'd normally find these mountain wagtails um, alongside rivers and gorges and such like, especially along stretches where there's like waterfalls and immersed flat rocks and shallow water. So they hop around the rocks where the water's going. And, where there's sort of, even on the side of hill slopes and, the sides have got to be clothed in forests or woodlands or something like that. Um, but they normally sort of hunt along the streams and they catch mainly flies. And you'll see it mostly foraging, as I said now, along the water courses where it actually searches for the prey. Like I said, by these narrow rocks, all in the shallow rocks. But they're really, really beautiful. They hang around in pairs. They actually pair for life, like most of the wagtails. But you'll find them far away from the pied wagtails, because in these areas the pied wagtails don't normally hang around. So they normally go where there's no pied wagtails because of the territorial disputes that they have with the pied wagtails. It's not that great. With these mountain wagtails, um, both the male and the female, as I said, they usually pair for life, and they both help with the nest, which is also sort of a cup type, which is usually in the crevices on the side of the streams of the rocks and things like that. But they really are magnificent birds. Now, as I said to you earlier, this is definitely one of my favorites. And they have a beautiful call. Yeah, I'm just only remembering, I don't think I've got a call of one because they're usually very quiet. You never hear them calling. And I know I haven't heard a call of one at the moment, but yeah, I don't actually have a call for that thing. And I know, well, I've never actually heard it call, as I said. So there we go. The next wagtail is the western yellow wagtail. It's and the strange thing is about this western wagtail, if you look at southern Africa on a map and you kind of like put a line horizontally right down the middle and you divide to east and west, you won't find it in the east. But on the western side, this is where you'll find them on the western zone of southern Africa. That's really pretty wagtail, but they've got a kind of a shortish tail, um, but it's got a beautiful yellow belly. This whole belly is yellow, and it has this like olive green to brownish wash on its back, and it's got like blackish legs. Really important to remember that, because just now we'll talk about the grey wagtail, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So just remember the blackish legs. They've got a greyish type head with a beautiful white stripe, a bit thicker than the grey wagtail through its eyes. They kind of favour the wet meadows, marshlands, grassy, sort of muddy lake shores, and you will find them in fields. When I've done a couple of bird watches, bird counts, like in the Free State, I've actually found them near livestock, especially when they migrate. They'll come down and they'll feed around those type of areas. But they, unlike the others, they don't nest here. They migrate to South Africa, and they normally come around about late October, November, and they kind of stay around until April, May, and they go back off to Europe. And it's quite great to see, like 2 or 3 weeks before, they get into little groups of about 80 birds at some stages, and they fly over. And when they migrate, they migrate in quite a large flock. Although I have read that a few have been known to winter over here in South Africa, but I haven't seen them here in South Africa. And their call is very sort of, oh, you know what? I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm actually going to try and play it for you. Yeah, I'm just paddling a bit because I've got this new technology where I can get a sound coming through while I'm talking to you. That being me being this old. All you younger people know how to do this thing much better, much easier than myself. But they have a very unique call, something like this. Oh, sorry about that, listeners. I battled there a bit with that one. But I kind of like went on a bit with that one as well. So, hopefully you can turn down the sound a bit. But at least you're getting to hear some of the sounds of these birds and not my own little whistling that I do. The last of the wagtails I'm going to talk about is the grey wagtail, which is one I don't personally get to see very often. It's a very slim wagtail. It's got a very narrow white stripe through its eye, and like the other one, it has an eye ring. This has got like a broken eye ring. The upper parts are grey and got like a yellow vent, which actually contrasts with a very whitish underparts, which makes it fairly distinctive. And what does make it very distinctive is that the breeding male, excuse me, has a black throat, and it's got like little edges of a little white, like moustache type stripes. They normally forage in either in pairs or by themselves in meadows or in shallow sort of water marshes, very similar to the area where the western yellow wagtail goes. And they're kind of like only on the west, but a bit more west than the western, if you know what I'm saying. Not in the middle of South Africa, but a bit more western. They do come down to the coasts, but really they're hard to see. There's not too many that have been seen around. And oh, this is the other difference is I know that they've got the paler legs. They've got much paler legs than the western yellow wagtail. If you're having a look at the two, you'll see that the other legs, well, the western yellow wagtail is much darker. And of course, as I just said now and repeat myself as I normally do, they have much paler legs. And the breeding male does have a black throat, so it'll be quite nice to see during the sort of breeding season. But I don't know if we'll see that because they don't actually breed here much. They normally sort of use rocks in the water and often perch in trees and such like. But when they do breed, they kind of like breed in Europe and Siberia around those areas. They have a very clear, sharp call, um, and it actually sounds a lot like trills. Almost like a trill type call. Yes, it's not the same as the deep call as the others, but it's more like a trill. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? Right, and that's the wagtails. I think that's all I've got for you at this moment in time. Um, but it's really great talking to you guys about these different birds, and I'm 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 very chuffed that we had this worldwide birding day last weekend, and I've, I was so chuffed to see these mountain wagtails in my area that I was looking. That's why I actually wanted to talk to him because I was really excited about it. And until we sort of catch up the next time, uh, fellow birders, I may call you that now.